Hey everyone, Anders here. I wanted to go over the latest information we have on Aion 2. We just had an in-person test in Korea, a focus group test. You can think of that as a pre-beta playtest that focuses on qualitative feedback. The testers themselves are under NDA, but some of them asked for permission to sort of express their feelings about the playtest on their social media accounts, and were given permission to do so. So that's what we're going to be looking at here. Just keep in mind, this is the smallest of possible data sets we could be looking at, since not many people were asked to participate compared to even an alpha playtest you may have done at home. These players also had to physically go to NCSoft headquarters and test out the game there, so that's why there's not that many of them. But in this video, we'll go over everything they talked about from that recent focus group test. Now, Aion 2 is being designed as a cross-platform title, fully playable on PC with a mobile companion app where you're able to do things like crafting. Some said you could also have limited play on the mobile app as well, but as the test was on a PC, we are lacking concrete information on how exactly the mobile version will work alongside PC. The big question I'm sure many of you have, is it going to be pay to win? Now, from experience, I can tell you this game will absolutely have some level of pay to win mechanics, though what the developers are officially saying is that monetization will focus mainly on cosmetics like outfits and wing designs for your character. While there is a diamond shop, it's used for convenience items such as instant revives and dungeon entries, not gear or stat advantages. No pay to win for Korean developers usually means no direct power purchases. However, the term is much broader in the West, so even including things like revives in a PvP format could be seen as problematic. I'm sure we will hear things like Western-focused monetization practices whenever the game starts ramping up marketing for the Western release. They might have some changes when it comes to the West, so keep that in mind. But at the core, the game is being designed as a free-to-play game, so expect pay-to-win mechanics at some level. The Diamond Shop seems very similar to me to the way the skin shop works with Throne and Liberty, which in terms of a pay-to-win cash shop, it's not too bad. There was a misconception apparently where players thought that when NCSoft unveiled Aion 2, they were claiming they were expecting over $1 billion in sales. Apparently that claim refers to the entire Aion franchise sales, not just Aion 2 future sales. The developers also confirmed they're working to minimize gacha mechanics, which I think shouldn't be too hard to do if you just don't have them in the first place. But in this case, I think we may be talking about gacha boxes that contain convenience items or skins or bundles. Not a lot of players were given concrete information on monetization. They were even told what they were seeing in-game was a 2-month-old version of their monetization system, but as usual, expect pay to win at some level, and then we can establish how bad it is when we play the game on Korean live servers later this year. When it comes to character customization, Aion 2 looks to have a robust designer. Character creation was described multiple times as AAA, deep, detailed, flexible, similar to the Throne and Liberty creator, some were saying, which I personally thought was good enough. The quality of the outfits being a concern popped up from a couple of testers. One of them mentioned Throne and Liberty launch outfits as the level of quality they saw. This is an insult, I think, because those outfits were not well received in terms of design. I thought they were just okay, but in Throne and Liberty's defense, the game did eventually have some decent outfits released later in the game cycle. On the brighter side, wings can be crafted in-game and come with collection bonuses. The more you have, the more bonuses you get on your character, allowing you to fly for longer periods of time and get other stat boosts. Mounts are also available from monsters, and also some were accessible via premium currency. Again, very similar to Throne and Liberty. We have 8 classes to choose from: Gladiator, Templar, Assassin, Ranger, Sorcerer, Cleric, Chanter, and Spirit Master. The user interface will feel very similar to mobile games with clear inspiration from Throne and Liberty, is what they're saying, which to this day is one of the main negatives I think about Throne and Liberty. Back when I was even playing TL in Korean servers pre-Western release, I showed a friend what the game looked like and they just could not get into it because it looked too much like a mobile game. It seems like Aion 2 will have the same issue. Combat is semi-manual with auto-pathing for quests, but manual control during actual fights. So auto-pathing, I'm guessing like Black Desert, but combat seems to be strictly manual, which is at least signs that they're learning from Throne and Liberty's initial mistakes. Flight combat seems clunky at the moment, with some even saying it was way too easy to escape in PvP by simply flying away. You have 8 to 12 skill slots. Some players were saying 8, some said 10, one said 12. So essentially a limited amount compared to Classic. Skills can be awakened around level 20 and are going to be upgradable through point investments to unlock bonus effects and damage. The combat system uses a mix of targeting and manual aiming, and players can switch between action mode and classic mode camera views, again very similar to Throne and Liberty. I also saw a couple of players mention Terra, that combat in action mode felt more like old school Terra than Throne and Liberty. Some were saying the combat hit effects were too floaty and lacked impact. Both PvE and PvP are core to the game according to the developers. This includes a large number of dungeons, multiple people saying over 200 dungeons are available in the game, and of course Abyss is back for the classic Aion PvP, though one player did express concern that you could just potentially buy revives from the cash shop in Abyss, which would be a mistake of course. Abyss overall was not well received. PvP seems to need some work. Parties are limited to 4 players, and roles like healer and tank will matter. Again, reminded of the original Throne and Liberty party makeup of 1 tank, 1 healer, 2 DPS. It was later expanded to 4 DPS plus the tank and healer, but we'll see what NCSoft decides by the time the game launches later this year in Korea. Testers were able to level to 21, and then they were boosted to level 45 so they could experience some endgame content. Most said that the leveling experience felt very good up to what they played. Gear isn't sold on the market, it drops from dungeons, and field monsters, they are BOE or bind on equip, so once equipped it becomes untradeable and can include random bonus stats. Instead, we have a one-on-one trading system available in the game. A talent grid system also allows players to spend points and unlock various stat increases for their character, so there is some depth to progression and build crafting. The test PCs were running on NVIDIA 5070 GPUs at 60 FPS, but the developers say Aion 2 is optimized for max settings on older RTX 2070 cards, and they were aiming for stable performance for mid-tier PC setups. The 60 FPS was locked, but likely we'll see uncapped frame rates when it launches later this year. Graphics and hit effects were described as solid outside of the combat floatiness that some people were talking about. Dungeons again are everywhere. They claim over 200 dungeons at game launch, and flight is again possible in every area. You'll even be able to soar into dimensional rifts for realm versus realm content. They also showed 1v1 and 4v4 arenas are in the game, but no open world PvP as far as we know. We have factions for Elios and Asmodeans, but they are divided into their own servers, so I'm guessing they're relying on these dimensional rifts for inter-faction PvP. We'll have timed events much like peace and conflict world bosses in older versions of Throne and Liberty. There is world scaling, keeping early map areas relevant even at higher levels. Exploration felt very good from most of the feedback. Overall, from what we've seen, the game feels more like an improved Throne and Liberty with possible true action combat rather than the old school tap target Aion. And overall, the response from this focus group test was mostly positive, with them mostly being critical of PvP and possible monetization. Release target for Korea seems to be in November of this year, with a Western release in 2026, likely under their own publishing brand, NC America. And that was all I was able to gather for now. If there are more updates or more players giving their feedback online, I'll give you an updated video. Once we know a bit more about each class as well, expect a class video breakdown on those. But for now, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Are you excited for Aion 2, or does this new information raise some concerns for you? Let me know in the comments, and as always, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.